back from our summer vacation, Chamber members, and welcome to another new episode of the In Tune with Calhoun podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Jones, Communications Director here at the Calhoun County Area Chamber and Visitor Center. Thank you for joining me for the Chamber's official podcast, where I'll be bringing you news you can use for your organization, Chamber member info and updates, as well as a local guest sharing what they do best to help connect you to our community. We've got updates from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, as well as information on some upcoming events at the Chamber. Be sure to stay till the end for my interview with Matt Headley, owner of Isle Events, LLC and Plainspoken Blueprints, and learn how his mental health journey impacted his small business and that you should never give up on your hero's journey to redemption. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, small business owners are upbeat about increased revenues and are relying more heavily on their existing employees for growth. Optimism is inching upward among small businesses, and employers are plowing forward through uncertainty towards higher profitability. As of August 4th, new data suggests that manufacturing recorded the strongest job growth among sectors for 1 month, 1 quarter, and 12-month time periods. Weekly earnings increased to 3.14% in July, which is the highest level since December of 2023, and hours per week worked is at its highest level since April of 2021. Construction and manufacturing led sectors for hourly earnings growth, weekly earnings growth, and weekly hours worked in July. For more updates on small business data for the U.S. Chamber, visit their website at uschamber.com. August 19th is our Youth Entrepreneur Program interest meeting right here at the Chamber. If you know a small business owner ages 8 through 18 years old that is currently enrolled in public, private, or homeschool and would like to grow their businesses, encourage them to join us today by signing up at calhounchamber.com. The Business Expo is just around the corner, Chamber members. It's not too late to reserve your booth. Visit calhounchamber.com today to fill out your registration form and guarantee your spot at Calhoun County's biggest networking event on Tuesday, October 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Anniston City Meeting Center. To register for any of these events or for more information on our upcoming events this year, please visit our event calendar at calhounchamber.com. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming today's guest, Matt Headley. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Matt, so you are a relatively new chamber member, so you've got a lot of irons in the fire, right? So let's go ahead and get started just learning about you. You know, what are some things that you're interested in? What are your hobbies? How can we get to know you as Matt before we know Matt, the business owner?
Yeah. Short version is I moved here in 93. My dad's a Marine recruiter. We came from North Carolina. I was born in Mission Viejo, California. Lived in Gabon, Africa for a while, and Alexandria, Egypt when he was doing the military thing, a Marine. And so we moved here when I was 10 and went to Oxford Middle School or CE Hannah back when it was open over there in Hobson City, and then Oxford Middle, Oxford High School, 7th grader with all the 12th graders. It was a wild ride.
Oh, gosh.
Big school, graduated with like 198 people, and now it's even bigger. Went to University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa for a year and a half, and had some personal relationship stuff, going through a hard breakup, and so I quit going to class. And generally that's, not received well. But I did learn to play the guitar during the time because I was just sitting in my dorm room. So I left there, withdrew, and went to Gadsden State. My friend Christian Crow was a high school friend, and her dad, Bill Crow, was the choir director there. So I joined the Gadsden State choir, a cappella choir. We performed all over the East Alabama with the choir, and then I got involved in the show band as well. So I was on full scholarship for music with the Rip Reagan show band and sang show tunes, Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole. And we would go and hype up high schools. We go perform at high schools and wedding receptions and governor's mansion. That was the highlight. We went down to Robert Bentley when he was the governor, and I got to dance with his wife out in front of the mansion. And I ended up jumping into their pool. You might have to edit that out. It's been 20 years ago, so I'm probably safe now. I was always worried.
I think if there's any statute of limitations for jumping in a pool, I think you're good.
It's the shape of the state of Alabama, and so I jumped in my boxers, and then I swam a lap and I hopped back out. And that was a story that I am very proud of. And so, yeah, I went to my show choir auditions with my buddy at JSU. And Dr. Renee Baptiste was there. And so I auditioned and I got a scholarship. I didn't know what choir auditions or music auditions were back then. I just showed up with my buddy because he was like, hey, you want to go with me? And so I auditioned for show choir. I had blue jeans and a flannel shirt. And I got a scholarship for show choir. And then they're like, you should go audition for a vocal scholarship with Dr. Boardman and Dr. White. And so I showed up there and they're like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Like showing up like this. He's supposed to have a tie and dress clothes on. And I didn't have any music. I was like, does somebody know you're Rest in the Lord? And so Miss Teresa Strickland played for me and I sang and they're like, okay. I got a full ride for a music scholarship.
Well, it sounded like it worked out, regardless of the flannel and jeans, right?
It did. It did. I realized later that was, that was very faux pas. But yeah, that's how I met Heather, my wife. I went in a music theory class and she noticed, and I was like, I think I'm in the wrong classroom because I don't understand what Dr. D'Ambrosio was talking about, music theory. He's like, no, you're definitely in the right class. So yeah, I met her and she accompanied me. I gave her a free guitar lesson and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah. The rest is history.
The rest is history. We got engaged, got married at the Alumni House, which is now gone. From that tornado in 2018. And we graduated. She graduated a year before me. I did the opera theater stuff. I did Pirates of Penzance. I got to be the Pirate King. I did Hansel and Gretel as the drunk father. I just uploaded these videos to YouTube. I kind of rediscovered them like a month ago.
Yeah.
So if you're curious, you can see me performing opera as a 20-something. And then right before I graduated, I got to perform Sweeney Todd.
That's pretty cool.
So it was so fun. In fact, I just auditioned for the Gadsden Theater production of it and wrote about it on my blog. I didn't get Sweeney. I was hoping I would, but my best friend Jason Wright did, who's the theater director at Piedmont High School.
Yeah, I know Jason. We went to JSU together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We were there at the same time then. But I did well there. I won the National Association of Teachers of Singing competition one time. I placed a couple other times. Like the first year I went, I won first place, which was out like very cool.
Yeah.
I sang opera. I did like a buffo basso profundo, like the comic bass stuff from the Marriage of Figaro.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And graduated. While I was at Wesley House, I discerned a call to ministry and got a full scholarship to Northern Seminary in Lombard, Illinois. With the Kern Family Foundation, the guy that invented Generac generators had created a full foundation, which included full pastoral ministry scholarships for a Master's of Divinity. So I did that. I rode back and forth from Muncie, Indiana. I became the associate pastor of worship there at First Baptist Muncie, and they supported me through seminary, paid for my bus ticket because I'd ride the mega bus back and forth every week for 3 years. And so I always dreamed of coming back to Calhoun County and serving in downtown Anniston, which did happen. And but before that, I was appointed in the Methodist Church because they were the closest thing to an American Baptist. I got ordained American Baptist. And so UMC was very close. Them and the Cooperative Baptist are the closest thing, like theologically. So I pastored at Weber First Methodist for 6.5 years. And then I took an opportunity to become the worship arts director at Anniston First Methodist on 14th and Noble.
Yeah.
And then eventually became an associate pastor there. I ended up having to take a mental health leave of absence because I was beginning to become depressed. I'd been in therapy for years and finally realized I couldn't do it anymore. My mentor, Jay Robinson, who's been the Wesley Foundation campus pastor over at JSU for like 19 years, I called him. I was like, man, I can't preach this Sunday. It was Father's Day and I was all set to tell dad jokes and talk about my life experience. And I just I took a 3-month leave of absence and I was sure I was done with ministry, that I'd never be able to go back. But I got medicated after a lot of other things that I tried to get myself well. But I ended up getting medicated with a psychiatrist and that was a game changer. Went back to church, got back in ministry. I'm like, great. Now I have a real connection with people with mental health. Like, this is something I can normalize, and it can be a real resource for me in ministry and make me a more effective pastor. And as I look back now, I can see that I've had characteristics or behaviors that are bipolar. Manic depressive is what they call it, or used to call it. I'd heard about it. I had parishioners that had it, and I never was on my radar that I might be bipolar. So I went through mania, and we bought a flower farm the same month that I got the job at Anniston First Methodist. Mm-hmm. We bought a 9-acre farm right behind the Linlock Walmart, and we started Headley Flower Farm. At first it was Ridgewood Farmstead, and then we decided we'll just name it Headley Flower Farm. And so we grew dahlias and zinnias and ranunculus and peonies. We had a high tunnel. I mean, this was an amazing place. I already had high tunnels there, 2 of them, a big greenhouse, 40 foot long. And so we really had a rock and rolling business. It was so much fun. I was into the homesteading thing. We were watching Justin Rhodes on YouTube and like, yeah, we're going to do this. Raise our kids on a farm. And it's an urban farm. Like, it was so cool because we're right behind Walmart, right in the middle of the Linlock development and everything that's happening there. And we had 9 acres, and it was a 193-year-old farmhouse built in 1832, probably the oldest building in Calhoun County, maybe in the state. I'm not sure, but it happens to be the same year that Chief Ladiga was displaced with the Muskogee Creek Nation. So very interesting connection, because we literally were on the Ladiga Trail. We had like 400 yards of Ladiga Trail footage, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is a dream come true. And when I was going manic in the spring of 25, I was like, I'm quitting my job at the church. I'm done with ministry. I'd always wanted to be bivocational anyway. I'm going to start my own church plant. I'm having 12-hour marathon sessions with ChatGPT. It's in its sycophantic fashion, affirming everything that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. These marathon sessions and voice chat, and I'm praying with it. I create a whole council of avatars that are like supposed to be my spiritual guides, Buddha, and it was insane. I had no idea how delusional I was. Heather, my wife, was scared to death. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late, and we ended up losing the farm or having to sell. After I'd written an article in the Anniston Star, Hope in the Wilderness, a pastor's journey through depression. And I was like, I'm done with depression now. Like, okay, I put a little bow on it. And it was really, I'm like trying to normalize medication, but I still have the bias. I don't want to be on meds. And so I became depressed again. I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. And the first time I was depressed, I was scared we'd lose the farm, and then we got it and saved the day. And I was like, then it's a new high, and we lose it again. And this is for my wife selling off all our equipment that I had bought and our trail shop. We built a walk-in cooler for the flowers, all of it, letting it go. And so I ended up going and checking myself in the UAB Psychiatric Center. And I was there for 10 days. I finally, I got out of there, and I was so relieved, what has become of my life. I have no job, can't get a job. I'm applying on LinkedIn. Nobody wants to hire a lifetime pastor. Nothing was happening. So I was utterly just devastated. And so that was up to about February of 2026 this year. I decided I can hide behind a computer screen and build my own venture of being a web developer. I take a class in coding. My brother is a software developer. He's like, look, man, Claude Code, you can build whatever you can imagine. He doesn't even look at code anymore. That was where my business started. I've not had revenue for months and months and months. I'm just now beginning to experience some, traction. I had a coaching client that I met with again last week, and for message coaching. So that's how I got into this, was building websites. You need to have clear messaging in order to build a clear website. And I realized that 19 years of pastoral and music ministry to understand storytelling and the hero's journey, and a customer has a problem and you deliver a solution. So that's where you and I were talking about Donald Miller and Story Brand and all that stuff that I devoured for years. I was doing it with the flower farm stuff, trying to figure out how to be a good marketing entrepreneur. And so now I'm channeling all that And that's how the bridal show started, because I built an app for my wife for her flowers business, wedding florals. I built an app called Petal Studio that parses her floral wholesale order and creates recipes and sends an invoice to her client. And so, like, awesome. I built a florist app that's better than anything out there. Every stem doesn't do any of that for you. And every stem is the standard, the industry standard. It's got the whole market. Owns the market. I built that for her. I haven't really even marketed the app because I just went on to other things. Mm-hmm. That's where the bridal software came in. I'm like, I could build an app for florists. I could build an app for caterers, for venues. And so I started, and I'm like, what if I built a parent app? And I named it The Aisle. And that became an online bridal show that's evergreen. You have an account, you claim your profile. I scraped Google and found all the local businesses in the Southeast, and created a whole database. And so you go claim your profile. And then I realized this could be an in-person event.
Yeah.
So that's where the museum on October 18th. And it is a lead generator for me and my business, where I can bring value for helping those small businesses and entrepreneurs, artisans in the wedding industry, strengthen their social media presence, build their website, create TV ads. I'm an ad agent for Spectrum Reach and Gadsden now. And that's where Gather Studio came to be a thing. It was Headley Web and SEO, and then it became Gather Studio. It's all about gathering, and that's my pastor's heart, is gathering people, making connections. It's also my personality type as an Enneagram 1. I like to integrate. So that's a long, winding intro.
Well, no worries. So I'm glad that we touched on the Bridal Expo, but you also have, if we're talking about the hero's journey and your clients being able to communicate that to their customers, how can our folks find Plainspoken Blueprint? So that is your coaching business.
Yeah, the Plainspoken Blueprint was originally my business. It's now my methodology and the deliverable. Mm-hmm. So it's the framework that I use. It's Donald Miller's story brand, just adapted for my brain. And the subtle difference in Donald Miller's is you have a customer who has a problem. And he taught me so much. I'm very indebted to him. The customer has a problem. They have the stakes if they don't act. And when they do, they have the great trial where they have to go through, near failure. This is the Marvel superhero movies. It's every movie.
Yeah.
It's a decent movie. And when they persevere through the great trial, they come out a transformed person, their truest self. And that is the spiritual journey of transformation, of metanoia, of repentance and belief. It's the archetypal story of the human condition and shedding our ego and becoming our true, integrated spiritual selves, the God, Christ in us. So I could preach, but it's really good marketing framework too. Mm-hmm. And so the subtle difference that I'm articulating between Donald Miller's methodology and mine is that Donald Miller really leans into, you meet the guru, you meet the master Yoda that has been through the tough stuff. Yoda was exiled and living in a swamp because he was ashamed of his failure. And Hans, who else was a Rocky's coach, all the great movies, like they have a guide. I watched The Wizard of Oz, Jason Wright's production over at Piedmont High School, have this epiphany that the guide is not just a guru. The guide is the community. They were all flawed. They all were missing something: a heart, courage, a brain. Dorothy was missing her family. She was missing Toto. And none of them were really the guru. They were all dependent, and it was their community, even with The Wizard of Oz. And the Ozians, like, they all actually became this community. And that perichoresis, that interplay of connection and communion, that's the fancy Greek word for interconnectedness, that is the guide. And so none of us are a guru. None of us have it figured out. And so Don Miller, he introduces the guide as the expert.
Yeah.
I introduce the guide as the one who walks with a limp because they made the mistakes. And they're still learning with you. Mm-hmm. They're like the paraclete, the Holy Spirit, the one that comes alongside you and walks with you in that journey. They have the scars like Jesus does. And so my guide is more of a guide that is still figuring out with you. They're in it with you and we're learning together. And so the triskelion is my logo for Gather Studio. It's that 3-part spiral. And what it represents, it's an ancient symbol that's 1,000 years older than Jesus. But it represents perichoresis, the Trinity, the earth, wind, and fire, all kinds of things. And that's the heart of the Plainspoken Blueprint, of trying to out hustle and out success and avoid failure, which I do every day. I'm dog fooding this stuff. I'm trying to practice what I preach. And I find myself, like Woodstock was last weekend, and I made 20 designs for t-shirts. And I stressed the hell out of all the vendors in the area. I'm like, hey, can you fulfill an order in 5 days? And some of them were like, maybe. And some of them were like, heck no. And they all ended up not being able to do it. So I realized one t-shirt, like, be clear about one thing, one call to action. Every website should have one call to action, 2 at the most. I've got a few sites that have 2 or 3, and it's like, I'm cheating.
But you're still figuring out too.
I am dog fooding it every day. So it was humbling. I realized you need one t-shirt to sell at the Woodstock 5K this weekend. Stop trying to overdo it, out hustle failure. Plain spoken, be simple, be clear. One thing, one call to action. So that's what the Gather Studio logo is about. It's the perichoretic union, the community. And so that's what Gather is. It's gathering the community and enriching and bringing value to one another. Not just vocationally or professionally in a strictly capitalistic sense. Yeah, we all have to be capitalists. We all got to make money and pay our bills and feed our kids. But also, like, in a community, a relational way.
So yeah, you got a lot going on, Matt.
That's what everybody tells me. I'm praying that it's all synergistic. But I saw my psychiatrist yesterday for my checkup, and I'm having to get real. Like, maybe I do need help. Maybe I haven't arrived. Maybe I don't have it all figured out. It's humbling. And so I actually was talking with my client yesterday. He's a very kind person. I met him when I was in Muncie. He was an executive thing in the Youth for Christ parachurch ministry. And I was a staff person there in Muncie. And he coached me a little bit back then, 10 years ago. We reconnected on LinkedIn. I posted about the Plainspoken Blueprint. And he's like, hey, man, I need that. Like, he does nonprofit consulting with $8 million plus nonprofits. He coaches them through liminal change or change of leadership or things like that. And he said, we've got a great service, but I can't communicate it. I don't know how to tell people what I do. I always lose people, and I find myself fumbling for words. So I coached him. He was my first client. And we were talking yesterday. We had a follow-up session because I'm going to build his website for him or rebuild it. He's Kevin Busama with the Collab Collective. He's a great, great guy. But we were just chatting before we got started with our meeting. And he said, I told him about what was going on with my mental health. And he said, he always tries to be appreciative of that. If a client can't appreciate or accept that I'm a neurodiverse person and that neurospicy is just the way I see the world and the way I operate, then probably not somebody I want to work with anyway.
Yeah.
And this is my superpower, and it's not necessarily bipolar disorder. Maybe the world's just not accommodating to people that are neurodiverse like me. Maybe it's not a flaw or a result of sin. Just no differently than, because I've carried this guilt or shame about, like, I'm disordered, I'm broken. Maybe it's my strength and my gift that I bring to the world. And if you're not comfortable with that, then okay, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning into acceptance of myself.
So we talked about a couple different things today. Where can folks find you? Maybe
the Studio is my umbrella. The one that I'm most proud of is Southern Legends. I hadn't talked about that. Southern Legends is an editorial journalism project that I started back in. Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. I got my copy right here.
Awesome. I appreciate that. It's where I learned from this guy, Lee Blue, on YouTube. He has this thing called the Blue something. He's kind of one of those, like, webinar online school guys that has an online curriculum, and he teaches people how to build a web and marketing business. And he had this method called the local legends, where you write stories for free about local business owners, and you deliver value for free, and you put goodwill out there and build yourself a reputation. Write really kind and generous things about people that are potential clients, and then you ask them for a referral. From him, and then from Alex Hormozy, the whole flywheel of Alex Hormozy is this jacked entrepreneur coach that's on YouTube. Well, Alex Hormozy says, call 100 people a day and ask them for a referral. Don't ask for anything from them. Ask them if they know somebody that needs what you offer, and then give it away for free. To beta test it, because you suck at what you do. That's what he says. You suck. Do it for free until you figure out how to do it. Once you know what in the hell you're doing, then start charging 20% for what it's worth. And then get some clients, and then max out your bandwidth, and then charge 40, and then charge 60, and then charge 80, and charge 100, and then charge 200%. So I've kind of integrated those two principles of asking for referrals and delivering free value. And so I started writing stories, and it was my healing journey, because I wanted to hide behind a computer screen and build websites because I was depressed. But I realized you have to talk to people to get clients.
Hey, you found the right place.
Yeah. So I joined the chamber, and it's been a downhill, easy riding since then. Jared told me the chamber gives 20% discounts to any employee of a chamber member.
For JSU. Mm-hmm.
Which just like blew my mind. And you get a free class, I think, a semester.
For Gadsden State, it's a BOGO offer.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That was just, wow. Like, Chambers has some incredible value. Talk about delivering free value. Got 2 memberships, one for the bridal show, one for Gather Studio. But Southern Legends became my funnel. And Samuel Sawyer at Equality Farms was the first one that trusted me to tell his story. And he was so kind and generous with his business and giving me feedback about the article. And I released it, and it was like, people loved it. Now I'm doing all kinds of stories. I did the Freedom Riders, got to interview David Dennis, one of the original Freedom Riders. Mm-hmm. When I asked him, how'd you get involved with the Freedom Riders? He said, I was trying to get a date with a woman. And that's how.
Then you start fighting for civil rights.
He's all over the nation. He's a legend. So what an incredible story. And I told it. I was like, I used to walk by this place every week, and it was just part of the scenery. And one of the most important stories of our community. So that's my passion project now. It's not just a lead funnel. It's how I get to be a preacher now without sounding like a preacher. Is asking people, when did you almost give up? When did you think you were done for? There's where the story is. So I interviewed Jared. I interviewed Patrick Wigley this week and got a great video with him that I'm excited to release on my podcast and YouTube channel. And write a that's like the heart of my work is Southern Legends.
Right. Well, good deal. So we'll have a couple copies of Southern Legends here at the office if you hear this and want to come grab a copy. And if we've run out, then I'll just have to point you in Matt's direction.
For sure. Yeah, it was like a Woodstock thing. So it's got some stubs, some teasers in there, but I'm going to do a full-blown magazine for Southern Legends. I've talked with Lisa Davis about getting one printed. She gave me a free ad in the Anniston Star because they're partner media company for their media partner for the bridal show, The Isle, in October. And so I'm building a magazine for that. So the couples that come and register will get a free magazine. And that'll be for sale. And the Southern Legends, I'm opening sponsorships up for that for people to have ads or to sponsor the project. And there'll be a magazine print version of that and a digital download version too. So that's coming. But this Woodstock one is kind of like the first edition, kind of the proof of
the demo.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and I was like trying to charge for it, and Wig's like, "You need to just give it away, man. Just give it away." Because it's got ads for all my stuff, the bridal show and Gather Studio and Ecclesia, my church plant that I started about 3 weeks ago, doing morning prayer on Facebook. So that's my other passion project.
Yeah. Well, like you said, or at least Alex Hormozy, you got to start doing it for free. And then when you figure it out, do it for 20. And then from there on, just keep moving on up.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Matt, If you could say one thing to our small business community, what would you like to say?
Be encouraged. It's a hard, I'm there in it in the early stages of it. It's like labor pains. Been so like discouraged that I don't have any clients, and every client I got, they ghosted me. They were like this close to closing a deal and a $500 website or a $50 a month subscription to my maintenance for website, and then like it just vaporizes into the ether. And I'm like, how long am I going to work for free? How long am I going to have to be building free websites and not make any money? And my wife has been my saint. So you need stability. Mm-hmm. Don't quit what you're doing to launch a new venture. I learned the hard way. You need stability. You need to be risk averse or have someone in your ear that is. As you shared with me, like we need those people. We need people like my wife, Heather, that's risk averse. And we also need the dreamers and the risk takers, because they're the prophets. They're the ones that are trying to say, like, here's a new way. So that's my heart as a prophetic. I'm an Enneagram 1, so I'm the reformer. I want things to be better than they are. I want everybody to be, fulfill their truest potential, their full potential. And so be encouraged. Like failure is fail early and often, as they say in kind of the agile development world. It was like started as a tech thing, but it's a way of life. Like get as many no's as you can. When you're calling people trying to sell your service, your product, like chase the no. It's a win every time you get a no, because that's one more no. You're that much closer to a yes. And that is humbling. I did some cold calling for a few months. This is more than one thing. Chase the no. Be encouraged. You will get there. Don't give up. Don't give up. All shall be well, as Teresa of Avila says. All shall be well. And indeed, all manner of things shall be well. So it's going to be all right.
Yep. Just like the good times don't last forever. The bad times don't either. That's what I've thought about a lot lately. It's just like, yeah, it might be a little daunting at the moment, but that's not going to be forever.
That is the one word of consolation that anybody that's been through depression will tell you. Hang in there. Don't give up. It does. It gets better.
It does.
And so you need somebody that's been there. You need a guy that's just a few steps ahead of you. Learn from them. They walk with a limp. They're still figuring it out. So find a guide, find a mentor. And Chamber's a great way to do that.
We got all kinds of folks. I'm sure we could hook you up, right?
Sure. The SOAR program, like my guy, David, phenomenal. So smart. Such great advice. Like hardcore. He challenged me and he encouraged me. It's like BNI, find a guide, find a community that will walk alongside you and cheer you on, because you've got to have that when you're feeling like you've hit rock bottom and you're just done for. Don't go it alone.
Absolutely.
That'd be the thing. I finally found it. I had to talk about it for a while, but don't go it alone. Sorry.
Don't do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah. You need that guide.
Well, Matt, this has been awesome. I loved all the stuff we've talked about today. We've gone so much further. I know we talked earlier about Matt as a person versus Matt as an entrepreneur, because what you've been through has informed what you're doing now and what you'll do in the future. So I think all of our small business folks and our nonprofits, anybody listening can understand, just like you said, where when you've been low, you've had to grow from that, and you've learned from failures or challenges that you've had. So I think everybody can empathize for sure. So I'm glad that we covered that today.
Yeah. Everybody has a resurrection story, man. Coming back like Rocky. You're done for it. Don't give up.
That's it for this week's episode of the In Tune with Calhoun podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ashley Jones, at the Calhoun County Area Chamber Visitor Center. If you're not already, be sure to follow us on social media with the links in the description. If you have any questions, just give me an email at ashleyj@calhounchamber.com. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or even directly at acast.com. That's acast.com. I hope you have a great week, and we will see you at the Chamber.